awake.
I'm awake. Hey, happy Mother Loving Friday. Welcome to another episode of the Uncorked Poetry Podcast. My name is Tamara Israel. I'll be your host tonight, and my wonderful, amazing guest is Kelsey Leahy, aka Origami Mommy. So if you read the description, you know all about Kelsey, but let me give it to you again. So Kelsey is an exceedingly useful vagabond oboist who shows up in various places and spaces to fold paper, play tunes, write things down, and tell stories. And she is amazing. What's up, Kels? Happy mother frickin' Friday.
Happy Friday. I am very happy to see you and to be here and to share with you and all of you today.
Thank you so much. You and I go way back to like 3 years ago, which is a very long time ago. Yeah. I mean, I feel like 2020 was 10 years by itself. So it was quite long. Yeah.
Yeah.
I met you at an open mic and you blew us all away with your oboe stylings and your poetry and just your energy. And I'm really happy that you came on the show. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Yay.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
how's
you
your
for
day going?
having me. That was fun. You got up to introduce me and you said, I would introduce this person, but I have no idea who she is.
Right? I don't know who this person is, but they seem really cool. So, I'm going to let her introduce herself because who is she? I don't know.
So I answer questions. I love getting questions and I love answering questions, and I will always answer questions honestly and truthfully, but I might not answer questions in the way you expect. I will often be oblique or obtuse, and I only do that as a way to protect myself and my story and to maintain my personal boundaries, and because it gets confusing. So, common questions that I receive and the answers that I give. Where do you live? I live in the here and now. Where are you from? I am from the universe herself. Who are you? I am a professional musician with a wide range of interests, skills, and abilities. I find it difficult to sit still due to the myriad thoughts and melodies running through my mind at any given moment. I fold origami to focus the energy. The pieces are a convenient icebreaker, and creating them keeps me tied to a place long enough to get comfortable. Once I feel comfortable in a given situation or space, I can think about producing sound and creating music. I strive to make music with anyone and every genre. I only need to ask or to be asked. I enjoy putting myself in new social situations, which gives some explanation to my degree in sociology. The rest is that my life has been a series of social experiments. I have been known for presenting things without context, which is generally because too much context can get confusing and distracting. I have been refining my context, and this is it. My name is Kelsey Leahy, and I am exceedingly useful. I am known as vagabond, oboist, and origami mommy, and I like to help out where I can. I show up and I do things. I believe in kindness and that every breath is an opportunity. I make my own reeds. It's tedious, but I love it. I sell the reeds to my students, and I'm always accepting those willing to learn. You can find out more about me at oborockstar.com. Who else would have that domain? What do you do? I do what I can, and I can do a lot. Mostly I play the oboe and show up places, tending towards isolation at times in order to dive deep into the abyss of process. At other times, reaching out to tribe, wishing to connect on so many levels. I'm here, I've made it to now, slowly figuring out how I fit in, learning how to live with myself in spite of myself, existing as myself consistently and coherently, taking it slow, one day at a time. How do I do it? With grace, patience, and integrity. I am a child of the dance. I embody the spirit of the dance, quite literally tripping into this life, caught by the muse herself who saw my shine. She lit the path, and I followed for years, picking up pieces and experiences along the way. After 4 incredible and intense years, I found myself flying to the party in the pines, bringing with me the gifts that I had to share openly with my new family, receiving gifts in kind to fill my soul, yet still hiding in certain shadows. And the final question that I have a prepared statement for. Who is Origami Mommy? I am grace, patience, and integrity. I'm a thoughtful imp showing up here and there, folding paper, playing tunes, and writing things down. Always seeking a safe landing place to rest and replenish, to work and to grow, creating moments with self and others before taking flight once again. A little raven, flying free and shining bright.
That was pretty badass.
Thank you.
I love your answers. You're making my job like 10 times easier, so thank you for that. You said that, well, your name is Origami Mommy, so I have a question about origami.
Okay.
How did you get into origami, and do you know how many you've made so far?
Ooh, excellent questions. So I got into origami at about 9 years old. I went to my public library for a summer reading program, and we read Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes with my children's librarian, who happens to be my mom's best friend still. It's all very connected. And we folded a bunch of cranes and sent them over to Japan for the Hiroshima Peace Park, because there's actually a statue of Sadako. And short version of the story, she was 2 when the bomb was dropped in World War II, and by the time she was 11, the sickness actually appeared in her body, and so she was in the hospital. Her father told her the legend of the crane, where if you fold 1,000 cranes, you get a wish. So she started folding cranes out of all these little scraps of paper from the hospital, like prescription things and gift wrapping from other people. And she actually folded 1,000 cranes and was working on her second 1,000 cranes. And so her first wish was to be healthy, of course. Her second wish was for her family's financial troubles to go away. But leukemia is a hell of a disease, and atomic weapons are a hell of a weapon. So she did not survive the atom bomb disease. And her classmates raised a bunch of money and made a statue of her, and she's holding a peace crane in the Hiroshima Peace Park. And her story is known far and wide. Her brother actually just co-wrote a book that is the full story, because it's a scholastic version, and it's it's very childlike. But a woman talked to her brother and wrote the whole and complete and horrifying story. It goes through the bomb dropping and their escape and having to go down the river and just all of everything. So that's how I got into origami, learning that story and folding paper. And I checked out books from the library and just kept folding all sorts of things. And I kind of fell away from it in college, but then when I went back to get a second undergraduate degree in music, I started folding origami a lot, sitting in class and going to bars, listening to live music, being awkward, ordering double cokes on the rocks. And I would just fold origami in the bars, and I became known as Origami at Delaney's, the Irish pub in Spartanburg. And then a Greenville drummer named TJ gave me the moniker Origami Mommy. And he started calling me that, and I was like, I'm gonna put that on my business card. That's a great idea. And it's become my poet identity as well. So it's not just folding paper, it's the poetry, it's the performance of my life as my art. And it's how I promote myself when I go to markets and festivals and vend origami supplies. I am Origami Mommy and apprentice. My apprentice is 12, and she's very cool.
Your apprentice is 12. That's adorable. And cool as hell.
Yeah.
So do you know how many origami you've made so far, or I would guess, can I guess before you guess? I would guess I've seen you fold a lot of origami.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of your held origami. So I'm gonna say at least 3,000.
Okay. Well, I can tell you for a fact that I have folded at least 5,000 cranes, because I folded 1,000 out of cigarette foil. I folded another 1,000 in a month for Get Off the Grid Fest 2019. I folded 700 or so after the first 1,000 because I couldn't stop folding cranes. I folded 768 teeny tiny ones because I wanted a new project, and I put those in strands of 13. I folded another 1,000 out of tea tags, and that was one of my quarantine projects up on Cape. And I got most of the squares for that from the gallery up there, from the Cordage, because there was just of them. Amanda gave me another container of them. So that's 3,000 plus 700 plus 700 plus a whole pack of scrapbooking paper, plus at hundreds of larger ones that said "Be kind" on them that I had tucked into a wall, plus all the ones that I've just folded to fold. And so at least 5,000 cranes, plus all the other forms that I folded. So at least 8,000, 10,000 pieces of origami that I folded.
You said 10,000. You said like 8 to 10. That is so much. I love that so much. Like, what do you feel when you're folding origami? Like, is it relaxing? Are you trying to like go to like another place? Like, what's happening inside when you're folding origami?
Well, it's been a meditation, especially the cranes, especially when I was at bars, because social anxiety personified. So folding origami in the bars was a way, like I said in my introductory statement, to focus my energy, because like I vibrate sometimes, like especially I don't drink coffee anymore. I quit coffee right before moving up to Cape Cod after 3 years in a gas station overnights and teaching lessons and working a library job. Like I drink a lot of coffee. And so right before I went up north, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna quit. And so now I drank coffee 2 days this past week in the woods, and like I was vibrating. I have so much energy already that I don't need caffeine. Every once in a while, I'll have a chai tea, but that's
Is that like a little extra? Like that's a little bit much? Like the chai tea is a little much?
it's a little much. So I fold origami as a way to literally focus my energy to get myself to sit still long enough to be fully present in a situation, because I am known to just run off. I'm like, no, I can't be here. No, I can't be here. I just need to go away. So if I can sit still and fold something, then I have something to give to someone. And that was how I kind of made myself known. And I did it to blend into the background, but it backfired because people like, stop looking at me. Stop looking at me, please. But it worked out fairly well most of the time. And sometimes it is. So after I finished folding the T-tag cranes, I took a sabbatical from folding cranes. I didn't fold cranes for 1 year, from Labor Day to Labor Day, unless I was teaching someone how to fold, because it had become such a compulsion that there were times when I would be folding and I'd be like, oh God, I need to fold this to give to somebody, like the grocery store clerk. Like there was a time when I was just giving cranes away, giving origami away, just here and there and everywhere. And I felt like I had to. And so that was a really hard lesson to kind of overcome.
Yeah.
But now it was really nice taking that crane sabbatical, because it made me more intentional about what I was folding. Because like I would just start folding things and it would become a crane. I wouldn't even like I'd be trying to fold something else and it was crane, crane. Ah!
Want to make something
Yeah.
else? All right.
Yeah.
One more question for you, and then can we go into your first piece?
Yes.
Cool beans. Okay, so I have a scenario for you, because we talked about this a little bit before in pre-production, but I want to bring it up again because you are a certified wilderness first aid, right?
Yes.
Oh, we're
So
going into
October.
it. I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't hear you said. I'm sorry. So yeah, you are certified in wilderness first aid. Let's say you and I are hiking up a mountain. Again, I would never hike up a mountain. I love you so much. It's not a thing I'd ever do. But let's say hypothetically we're hiking up a mountain and we're like more than halfway like to elevation. The air is a little bit thin, and then like I trip over a rock, and then like I like tumble down the mountain, and like I break my leg. How do you get me off the mountain? Like what happens next?
Okay. So you have taken a tumble,
Mhm.
and I will then do a scene size up to see where you landed and to make sure there's no hazards around you, like a widowmaker hanging in the tree that might fall and hit us while I'm trying to save you. That would be terrible. So checking out the scene, and since I've been hiking with you, I know who you're with and I know that there's no one else around. So there's no one else I need to worry about. And after that, I would check your airway and your breathing and your circulation to make sure that you're able to breathe, that your blood is flowing but not flowing out of you, because we like to keep blood inside of the body. And I'd be wearing all of my PPE, of course, gloves and whatever else to make sure I don't get any bloodborne pathogens. And then I would check you from head to toe. I'd literally give you a head to toe examination, start by squeezing your head. And the most important thing, especially when you take a fall, is to know if you've fallen on your butt or on your head from a distance of more than 6 feet. So if you do that, then you have risk of spinal injury. But if you've tumbled, I don't think you've done that, but I'm still going to secure your head so you don't move. And it's going to be a little tricky. So I would use like backpacks or something to keep your head still while I'm examining the rest of you, since I don't have backup with me. And I would get you to hold your head like this so it doesn't move around. And then I would just start squeezing, poking and prodding, checking your clavicle, checking your arms, checking all your ribs, checking your legs. And when we got to your legs, I would push them in opposite directions. And that's when I would find out your leg was broken, which would hurt. And then I would check your spine. And once I checked your spine and made sure you didn't have any spinal injury, then we could worry less about your head moving. And then we would have to make a splint, and it would just be with whatever material we had with us, wrapping some clothing and covering the leg, wrapping it with ace bandages or other pieces of clothing, using a stick or something else to make it secure, and then get you down the mountain. And if I couldn't do it on my own, I would have my walking stick, so that would help us out a little bit. But if I couldn't help you that way, we'd have to call out for help and get the thing. But I would take care of you if you ever decided to hike a mountain with me.
Thank you so much.
Going in the tree.
Oh my God. Okay, so there's a bunch of things I never thought of. I never thought of like looking above to see if something's gonna fall on my head while you're doing the thing. Never occurred to me.
Look up, down, all around. Situational awareness.
Situational awareness. So important. So important. A little sideways. There we go. Yeah. Thanks for like not letting me die. You know, I lot like my leg is broken, but like I'm still here. So that's important. Thanks for that. Huh. I think I may make it. I think I might make it. All right. I feel good about it.
Good.
Yeah. Can we go into your first piece? Whatever you feel comfortable and happy to share with us.
Okay. So I'm going to share King of the Fairies with y'all. It's a fiddle tune. I've been learning bluegrass on my oboe, and it is very fun. So King of the Fairies is a double jig. It's an old Irish tune. And King of the Fairies is all these different ideas of who the King of the Fairies actually is. And I've done some research on it, but I haven't gone deep into the rabbit hole, so I'm not going to go all the way here now. But it's fascinating. And if you play the song 3 times in a row, the King of the Fairies himself is supposed to appear at your party. And if he approves of your party, he will party with you. But if he does not approve of your party, he will just cause mischief and mayhem.
If we could skip that part, that'd be really cool. If we could just do it once, because I'm not about that life.
And I got to play this in the woods last week. There were some bluegrass pickers there, and I sat down with them and played some tunes. And I was like, can we play King of the Fairies? And they played it, and it was totally, totally rad. And it warmed my heart, and people were dancing. It was just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, King of the
was dope. That's so cool. Okay. Have you ever passed out playing the oboe?
Yes.
Okay. How many
Once.
times? Once.
Once passed out completely. It was during an oboe lesson with my forever oboe teacher, Dr. Kelly Benemin at Converse, now university, used to be college. I was standing up and playing and doing the F scale. And so, I was standing, which I wasn't totally comfortable with or familiar with, especially with my weight issues and just all the health things that go into all of that. But also, I was doing a 2-octave F scale, which was the limit of my range at the time. So I played the F scale going up, and as I was coming down the F scale, I was falling down. And luckily, I had this state of mind to hold my oboe up, and Kelly grabbed the oboe from me, and it was safe. And it was just down and up, and I was okay. But there had been a lot of times, especially in high school, when I would be playing, because I would push myself and like the weight and the health wasn't all there. And I would black out a lot. Like I would get spots over my eyes, but I could still play, which was the funny part. And the trick is that the opening of the reed of oboes and bassoons, it's so small. Like there's an opening there.
Yeah, that's tiny.
It's tiny. So you don't ever actually run out of air. You just get an excess of CO2 in your brain. Because for other instruments, you breathe in and you play and you breathe in and you play. But with the double reeds, you have to breathe in, play, breathe out, breathe in, play, breathe out, breathe in, play. And if you're quick about it in certain passages, you can actually breathe in, play, breathe out, play, then breathe in, because you still have enough air to get through whatever you need to get through.
That's terrifying. A little
It's
bit.
delightful. It's delightful. And so I do breathing exercises because your diaphragm is a muscle and that controls the exhalation of air. So your muscles, you can get stronger. And you've done it. I do deep breathing exercises randomly throughout my day. And people who don't know are like, are you okay?
You okay?
Are you?
What's happening? You all right?
Yeah. And you did that when we were watching Batman that night. And I started stretching in your living room, and I was just like doing deep breathing and stretching, and you looked over and you were like, you were checking in, and it was really sweet. And you're like, you good? You need something?
You hungry or you want something? Or?
No, just stretch. It's real fun. I like it a lot. I'm gonna keep doing it forever and ever.
It's pretty bad.
Well,
You said that you were in the woods.
yeah.
That's kind of terrifying, but what is it about the woods that draws you to it? And when you say in the woods, like paint us a picture of like what being in the woods looks and feels like for you.
Well, when I go into the woods, I go in with a group of people, ranging anywhere from a dozen people to a few hundred people at a time.
I did wait, pause. I did not know that. Kels, you were going in the woods with like 15 to 100 people?
15 to 300 people.
Okay, how many murders are there every time you go into the wood? I would be so afraid. Woods mean murder to me. Like that's what it means. Like
Yeah. Woods mean safe space to me. The woods
Mhm.
are one of my safest spaces. I've got a few places, but the space that I was in this past week that I got to live in for a week, that is literally my favorite land on this earth. And I've been running around those woods for the last 2 years. And there's gatherings of all sorts and types, only a few of which I've been privileged and honored enough to attend. Um, and I love the woods, and I love being in the woods with the people that I'm in the woods with, because they're my family, they're my community, they're my tribe. And I've that's in my opening statement, I say I tripped and fell into this life, and I really literally did. In that same Irish pub where I got the moniker Origami, I tripped and was caught by a person who kind of opened the door to this huge community of people and musicians and artists and all these makers and creators of all sorts. And It's been a wild ride, but here I am, still standing, still creating, and getting to create more. And yeah, I love the woods. I love the woods. I love running around in the trees. I love listening to all the animals and humans that are just living their life. And whenever we gather, it's always making sure the needs are met and making sure people are safe and secure and happy and at peace and doing the things they need to do to recharge and recuperate to exist in the world as it is.
So you
I
weren't
wrote
kidding
a
when
poem
you.
actually.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
No, you go. You go. After you.
Okay, so I wrote a poem. If you want a poem, I wrote a poem in honor of the woods that I was just in. I wrote it last year, and I've gotten to share it a lot, and I shared it quite a few times this past week. If you'd like to hear a poem.
I would love to hear it, please.
Okay. So I ran away to the woods to be with these people and to meet all these new people. And then I went back to the city and I was living in a townhouse. My Georgia mom, her nephew had this townhouse and I was living there. I lasted all of 8 days. I couldn't handle it. It was too much. There was too much going on. But while I was living in this townhouse, I was falling asleep one night and the opening to this poem came to me. I had to record it on my phone and then I had to find the rest of it later, which is really kind of obnoxious because generally when I write things, it just all flows in order. Um, so this one was a practice in things. Hydrate. We are the fairy folk flitting through the forest, escaping city life to live among the trees, seeking out nature neighbors, yearning to find others like us. We exist in reality, both actual and virtual, preferring the natural world above all else, delighting in the sanctity and beauty inherent in the wonders of Mother Earth, listening to the universe, our intuition, and each other. We gaze upwards to read the sky, foretelling of incoming weather and tides, following the stars as they dance through the night, breathing with the clouds as they fly. We saunter through the woods by light of moon and sun, putting our hearts and souls in tune with the land, practicing our craft in time with the seasons, understanding that the only thing constant is change.
Okay, first of all, that last line is hard as hell, man. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So you said breathing with the clouds. Um, that just sounds beautiful. Like breathing with the clouds, like it just sounds like relieving. Like it sounds like just let's just breathe with the clouds. I love that line. I love the whole poem. It's a badass poem. And listening to the universe, what does that mean to you? Like how do you listen to the universe?
I listen to the universe by listening to my surroundings. So wherever I am, I hear all of the sounds. Like I get overwhelmed by sounds a lot of the time. Um, but whenever I'm in a new situation, like right now, I can hear all of the night creatures in the backyard. I can hear the the HVAC system of the house. I can hear you. I can hear me. I can hear my heart beating. Um, when I'm in the woods and I get to hear the natural world so clearly, like
Mhm.
when there's fires around and I can hear the crackle of the fire, I can hear the embers, all the little things. And I listen to the community that I'm in at the time. I listen to what's going on around me. I listen to the children speaking and playing and calling things out. And I pay attention to what goes on after other people hear those things. There's a really beautiful example of it this past week, actually. But when I'm listening, I have to listen to what's in my head because there's always something running through my head. And if I can get that to quiet down, then I can hear new. And that's where a lot of my writing comes from, is just listening and being like, oh, there are those words. I need those words now. And what happens if I actually write those words down and follow those words? Like what's the rest of the story? if I can pick out that one line that we are the fairy folk flitting through the forest, if I can follow that thought, where does it lead? And it led to that, which, I mean, dang, if I don't mind saying so myself. So that's how I listen. I just listen.
Just listen. Just like be. Like just be.
Be.
Pretty badass. Another way that you are exceptionally useful is you're also a blacksmith. So like you like make shit out of like nothing. Could you? I
Yeah.
saw a thing that you made earlier. Could we see the thing that you made and fuck how? Just how?
Okay, so I was just in the woods at an earth skills gathering where you learn primitive skills, blacksmithing and fire making, cordage, all sorts of things. And that was my second gathering. First gathering was last month up in Piedmont. And while I was there, I took a 2-day blacksmithing class and actually made this knife
Nice.
out of an old garage spring. It's like a big garage door has these massive springs, and Bob the blacksmith, can he weld it? Yes, he can. What's your favorite color? Orange. It has to be orange. Like when you put it in the flames, you need it to be orange before you smash it. So I made this knife, and I will be sharpening it the rest of my life, which is fine. And then I went to the riveting class with Gray, and I made this sheath out of hide, and it's got the welt in there to protect the sharp edge there.
Huh?
And it's got bits, which are not very even, but they're good.
Wow. Hey Jennifer, she said she's a magician. I agree. I know how you did it because you just said it. Like you just told us how you did it, but I cannot picture like that's cool as shit. Blacksmithing is cool as hell.
Blacksmithing, okay, but wait, there's more. So cordage making, you can make rope out of basically anything. You can take bark and make rope out of it. You can even use your hair, but this is cedar bark that I twisted and then made into cordage, which now holds my ocarina. Bark, right? Humans that we.
I just bought Doritos the other day. Like I didn't do any of this shit. Like speaking of, can we hear the ocarina because it's adorable and
Yeah.
it's just fun to listen to.
Okay, so at one of the campfires I sat around this week, um, there was a moment and people were just like waiting for the music. So I was like, all right, you ready for a children's song?
Yeah, how'd you make that sound? That second, like what? Okay, towards the end, there was like this vibrating sound. What the fuck was that, Kels? What's that?
That's flutter, and it's a flute thing. So it's like when you roll your R's in Spanish. You put the tip of your tongue on the back of your teeth and just flutter.
Flutter. Oh my god, it's so cool.
Yeah, there's actually this thing called flute boxing, which someone I knew back in music school wrote her own flute boxing piece, and there's flute boxing pieces. It gets pretty wild. Proudest man.
Did you just say that flute boxing gets pretty wild? That's what you said?
I did,
I
and
like it.
I'm not messing around.
You gotta catch this flute box. Y'all ain't ready. um, you are an oboist. When did the oboe like call to you? When did that happen for you?
So I started on flute in middle school, midway through 7th grade. Okay, first of all, 5th grade, my friend was playing. My friend and I were like, "Oh, we're playing these recorders. This is really fun. Let's join band in middle school." I was like, "Yeah, let's join band." But then she got cool. I didn't. Midway through 7th grade, we still hadn't joined band. And I was like, "Mom, I want to play the flute. I want to play the flute. Like, let me play the flute." So she was all supportive about it. We went to the band director, and Dr. Gray was like, "Well, I don't usually let people join in the middle of the year, but you seem like all right. Come on." So I played flute for a year and a half, and then in my 8th grade year, I joined the pit crew of the high school marching band because my big brother was in it and my dad was in the pit crew, and I had a crush on one of the drum line people. So I was like, I want to be on the band. So the director got to know me, and right before I started 9th grade year, he came up to me and said, "Hey, will you switch from flute to oboe? We need an oboe player." And I said, and I quote, "Sure, what's an oboe?" I had
Yeah.
no idea what I was to, honestly. But he knew, like, and that's the thing, like with oboes, bassoons, French horns, like all these weird instruments. Um, Directors have generally the band director like sees these types of personalities. He saw my type A detail oriented personality and said, "There's our oboe player."
Hmm.
I mean, it took a circuitous path in my life, but I've played the oboe now since it was 2002 when I started. I've had this oboe. My parents got it for me in 2004, and luckily, like it's a Yamaha. They make everything, and they make really good everything. So this has lasted me until now. I got me through college. When I got to music school, I asked my teacher, Dr. Nemeth, I was like, "Do I need a new oboe? Like, what's the deal?" She was like, "No, you're good." And I just got it adjusted actually in Hendersonville. Thank you, Brian Seaton. I tried to adjust my oboe without consulting his handy dandy guide, and I touched things I wasn't supposed to, and I messed up my oboe in the middle of the woods, and living this primitive lifestyle, and I was freaking out, but I fixed it well enough to do the thing. And then as soon as I left the woods, I went to him and he fixed it like $70 an hour later. Got to tell him about all of my travels since the last time he adjusted it, which was right before going up to Cape Cod. And after all of this, he looked at me and he jokingly, he was like, "You need to get out more. You need to just explore the world, experiment with music stuff."
Right? You don't do enough. Like, let's just get out the house. You know? That's where you
Yeah,
find the people. Go outside.
go outside.
Yeah.
He did say to keep the oboe warm, which is the thing because winter is coming, and that's kind of horrifying.
So I play softball, and we keep our bats in I keep my bat in the house in the winter because if you put it in the car in the winter, you could crack the bat. Is it something like that? Just constant, not worry, but just like knowing where your thing should be all the time. Is that a thing that happens with you as an oboist?
Yeah, because if like the cracks, it's wood, like it's a very delicate piece of wood with all of these metal parts. So if it's cold on the outside and then you play it, you're blowing warm air through a cold instrument and you will crack it and you will not be pleased. Um, so the oboe instruments have two types of screws. There's rod screws, camera. These are the rods.
Mm-hmm.
And so the screws on top of all of these sections that you can keep as tight as you can because that actually holds all the mechanisms in place. But then there's these little screws that are the adjustment screws, and they regulate the pressure of the pads. So there's a very specific order. Like the adjuster, he came to do a master class when I was in music school, and he wrote a guide. So it's you start with screw one and go down the line, and you check these very specific things, and then it's all happy, and you have a nicely well-adjusted oboe.
Nice.
Yeah, and then there's springs that there's these little metal things. You can see it there.
Oh yeah.
So the cold with it. And I run around the woods and play around campfires and spend 3 months in the Caribbean and then come after living 9 months on Cape Cod. Like it changes. It changes the oboe. It also changes the reed. So people who have like they're professionals who play in like this symphony and that symphony, And if it's at drastically different climates and elevations, they'll actually have two sets of reeds, one for up on the mountain, one for down in the valley, because every day reeds reed in tune, maybe.
Could you say that again? I lost you for a second.
Every day I check the tuning of my reeds before the day, so I make sure that my reeds are actually still playing in tune, because instruments like clarinets, they'll tune their instrument by pulling it apart or pushing it together. But oboes and bassoons, we just have to tune the reed. We shave off whatever doesn't need to be there. We adjust it in various ways to make this play in tune on the instrument.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn cool.
Tedium.
Yeah, you're very connected to nature. Where does that love come from? Why are you not afraid of the woods like everyone else?
That's a good question. I was in Girl Scouts and I went camping a fair amount, but it was like cabin camping. We went on a school field trip in 5th grade, put up a teepee. I pooped in a hole.
Nope. We're not gonna skip over that, buddy. Let's let's turn around, talk about it. Girl, why?
Back to the earth.
Back to the earth. Yes, Jennifer said Kelsey's a gangster. Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Yeah, I pooped in a hole this weekend too. And I had dear little Opal, she's 4, I think. There was an incident and she didn't make it back to the poo hole. And so she just pooed on the path. And then I went over to their family camp for breakfast and it's like, Wendy, where's Opal? And Opal was in the woods dealing with her business. So I ate some of my breakfast and then went to help Opal and we covered up her poo. And then we went to the proper poo hole space. And because the rule is you dig the hole for the next person because you don't want to get there and not have a hole ready for you. So we dug a hole and there was already a hole dug because she hadn't used it. But and the rule is that she had to do it. And, she's 4 and it takes a while. So what I did, I cut out the hole for her. You just put the shovel in here and push it down as far as it'll go and all the way around in a circle. And then I let her actually extract the dirt and then do another layer and another layer. It's a nice hole.
What if you have bad knees? How does that work? Because I'm guessing there's like some hovering that has to happen. I have bad knees. I have horrible knees.
Horrible knees. Well, then it's all about placement. You also, if you want to get bougie about it, you can bring a like one of those seat, the old people seats for the toilet.
Oh yeah, like a commode.
Yeah, you can take one of those and dig your hole. Do that, or you can find a good tree. They do this in the Middle East actually, because they have their toilets are holes in the floor, and some of the stalls have poles that you can hang on to. Everybody poops, T.
Everyone does poop. Everyone does poop. I prefer to poop into porcelain, but I would like to try the woods in the daytime. Like if I could leave at night and then come back during the day, like I'm okay with that. It's just I grew up in the 80s, 90s, and I grew up at a time when scary movies were actually scary. Nope, not gonna do it.
I didn't watch scary movies. I only started watching scary movies after college.
See, I think I saw like it when I was 7, 8, just way too young. Way too young.
I did see that movie when my friend showed it to me. And I watched Twister at a birthday party and am still terrified of tornadoes.
I don't do it.
But there is woods. Why the woods? Why the woods? Because there's trees and there's nature and there's creatures and it's cozy. There's stars. You can see the stars out in the woods.
Yeah, I did notice you said that the moon was bright. Now, I'm never a person that I'm slowly becoming a person who appreciates nature. Before I just wasn't. A friend of mine very much loved the moon, and she would text me all the time. Did you look at the moon? Unless it's plummeting to the earth, I honestly do not give a shit. But I am learning to respect Mother Nature and respect the things around me. So when you see a new person coming into the woods with you, is there a way that you interact with newcomers? Is there like a procedure to get newcomers like comfortable in the moment with the group?
Yeah, so the first thing to to tend to is making sure asking if they have needs, because a lot of people that come into the woods, like they're old hands at this. So you say, do you have any needs? Um, is this your first time here on this land? And if it is, then you orient them to the land. You point out where things are. You point out where the water is.
Water super important, guys.
Um,
That's right. Hydrated, hydrate. Hydrated, hydrate.
um, so pointing out the source of water, pointing out where the food is, because there was like this past week, there's a downtown where the kitchen is, and so all the breakfast and dinner were served there. Lunch was on your own. Um, Making sure people know where the restrooms are. There were porta potties. Um, there were hot showers in the bathhouse. The toilets in the bathhouse weren't accessible most of the week because the septic couldn't handle that many people. But to show them like the guiding of staff was for earth skills. So there were classes. So there was a class board where you would go to see what was being offered in the morning and the afternoon. And it told you where they were, like which there were all of these tarps that were flying to shade the little class areas. And some of them were in the instructor camp. So you'd say, that's where the blacksmith is camped out. That's where whoever at dead cat camp down there working on tanning the whole thing. So getting people acclimated to the land, to the people, finding out how they got there, because that's always an important, and it's always a really interesting question, asking somebody, who brought you in, like what brought you here, what brought you to this space, to this gathering, what brought you to this specific class within this gathering, why are you here, what do you hope to gain from this experience?
That seems pretty damn important. Like, why are you here? Yes. Um, so you teach oboe lessons and reed making. You teach origami classes. What is it about teaching that draws you to it? Why do you like sharing different parts of your life lessons?
Because it's like it's fun getting to pass on knowledge. Um, Teaching oboe lessons, like especially to the middle schoolers that I taught back in Spartanburg. Middle school is such a weird time, and I like couldn't pay me anything to go back there. But when you're first starting out on oboe, the focus is on the breath. It's on the tone. It's on making the oboe sound the way that you want it to. And the only way to do that is to have control over your breath, um, which is a really difficult thing to do when you're in middle school, when you have family situations that aren't necessarily ideal. Um, and it's only 30 minutes or an hour long lesson. So when I have a student in the lesson, it's like, all right, we are here to play the oboe. That is all you have to worry about for the next 30 minutes, for the next hour of your life. All you have to think about is making music on this instrument. Nothing else matters. And I love that.
I mean, we need more of that. So I want to ask you another question, and then can we go into another piece of yours, whatever you feel like sharing? You're a very modest person, so well, before we do that, Jennifer said, if you're in nature, Kelsey's your gal. Need a bonfire? Call Kelsey. Um, yes, that sounds accurate. um, yeah. So you seem like a very well, not seem like I know you. You're a modest person. Well, I know parts of you. I don't like know your whole story. Anyway, what is yeah? What part of your talent most impresses you?
Huh.
Or like, what part of your talent are you most impressed by? What are you just like, damn, Kels, I'm awesome.
Okay, well, lately it's been my ability to actually get up in front of large groups of people and speak. So, for example, this past weekend at dinner, the woman in charge of the kids' activities came up to me at dinner and said, "There's always a huge story on Saturday night at the bonfire, and the children acted out. Their children are all painted like fairies. Like, we don't have a storyteller. Will you tell the story in 45 minutes?" Okay.
No, did you say 45 minutes?
Yeah, she gave me 45 minutes warning. I was like, "Can you make up a story to tell with the children acting it out?" And I looked at her and I was like, she was like, "Yeah, I want it to be fairies and trolls and things." And so, and I've been, like I said, I've been running around these woods for the last couple of years. So I've seen ridiculous things happen in these trees. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to tell stories that are actually true in one way or another. And so we get to the fire, and I'm wearing its regalia night, and I had found I found this outfit for my Halloween weekend performances, and I debuted it at the fire that night. It's this blue like Renaissance dress, and then this red velvet cloak, and it, and this vest, which I got at the gathering for $10. It's got a pocket. Anyway, so I get to the fire and gather the children and give them a little bit of like, all right, we just need to focus on the moment. This story, we're making up this story as we go, right, kids? And they're all very sweet. And I've been connecting with some of them throughout the gathering, and they've all seen me, and because I'm a personality, apparently. Um, and we just create this story in the moment, and some of it was I had been thinking about it for the last 45 minutes, and that part of the story was explaining like, this is, we're all just stories, we're creating this story together. It is the stories of the moment. These stories are real, the stories are never ending. And that's why at the end of it, it's like, this story, it does not have a happy ending. This story does not have a sad ending either. This story does not end, because the stories keep going. Because we keep living these stories, and we're living all of these experiences, and they're beautiful things, and they become stories when we share them as stories. So I did that. And the next day, a woman came up to me that I'd been like, we had seen each other and we knew each other, but we didn't understand how or why. We hadn't met yet, but we knew each other. And she came up to me and told me how much she appreciated my story around the fire. And she had been the storyteller in years past, and had been passed the baton on in a similar fashion, like very little warning, all the things. And she said, "Yeah, we're doing this event in Asheville on Wednesday, and if you could come, I'd be happy to give you time and space to share your poetry, to share your stories, to share your art. Like, what are you interested in that?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And she told me what the gathering, it was the gala, Firefly Gala. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that was actually the first Earth Skills gathering I had learned about in 2018, but I couldn't make it work with my schedule. I was terrified of the 1,000 people that were going to be there, because had been to smaller gatherings. And she said, "Oh yeah, it's the Firefly." And I was like, "Of course I'll be there, of course." And she said, "Oh, well, will you help MC the event? Because BTW, I'm the director of the Firefly Gathering, and like, I'm going to be running back of house, and I would love to have you help me MC the event." I was like, yeah, oh, yeah, I can do that, probably. And I did it Wednesday, and it was amazing, and it was beautiful, and it was not even slightly terrifying. And I've been really impressed with my ability to step into the light, to step out of the shadows, because I've been doing a lot of shadow work in the last couple of years, and getting to present myself as myself, how I want to be seen, how I am truly, without all of the anxiety and the shame and the guilt at simply existing. Because I'm allowed to be here, no matter what my monkey brain says, no matter what people say who don't like the way I do, or whatever, for whatever reasons. If people say these negative things about me, I've grown, and I am very impressed with the fact that I could step up and do that thing on Saturday around the fire and step up and do that thing at the gala. And like it was, I mean, it was big. Like, it was just the whole thing. The whole, yeah.
A whole big thing. Yes, yes. Pat yourself on the back. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I
Um. hmm?
live this life that I do, which is really cool.
Oh my God, Jennifer said you truly are a light, Kelsey. I absolutely agree. Like you just have like that energy. Like I said it before we came on. Like I feel like a lot of people when they get to know you, like they pull energy from you, because it's just so readily available and just so open and kind. You're just one of those very rare people. So, thank you for sharing your energy with us.
You're welcome. And thank you for being a safe space to do it because I have had to learn to be very careful about who I share with and who I open up to. It's been not always a pleasant journey. Um, but I've been really lucky and blessed to find people that are just good and that I can be this open with. So thank you.
Of course, yeah. So, can we go into your last piece, and then we're gonna get up out of here. You guys, if you have any questions for Kelsey, throw it in the comments. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So to give homage to the island and all the things, I'm going to play a little ditty on this bamboo flute that was made at an Earth Skills gathering in the Caribbean that I got. I didn't make it. I wasn't there when it was made, but I've gotten to play it and I got to bring it home with me. And then I will share my favorite exit poem. Yes. Refugee chic, adjective. A life without limitation, sharing space and air with all, living under the radar in plain sight, taking opportunities as they arise, missing some moments, of course, but always aware of the alternate path. Are you prepared? Are you ready to fly at a moment's notice, knowing that there's always a family willing to help out when you show up? They see you and they know you, but you must be self aware, calling attention to yourself in subtle ways, a look, a style, a gait, a sound, a tune. What happens when you allow yourself to be seen and heard? Where could it lead you? Which path will you choose? You always have a choice and you always have an exit strategy. The trick is to find safe spaces, somewhere with access to clean water where you know you can have a roof over your head. Follow Maslow, have your bases covered. Once survival is taken care of, the rest is up to you. You decide how to spend your energy and time. You choose how you will take up space. Don't be afraid to alter your course at any given moment or even on a whim. Follow your intuition and roll with it. Flow with it and know how to read a room. Realize when it's time to take an exit.
I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much. Okay, so refugee chic. Um, be aware of your ultimate path. I I feel like I feel like a lot of people are just kind of walking, you know? There could be a path, there could not be a path, there could be a football field. Who fucking knows? Like a lot of people are just, just blindly walking through life, and some people are awake and some people aren't. But knowing, being aware of your ultimate path, I think that is so powerful. It is so very powerful. Um, are you prepared? My answer, no. I should be way more prepared for life. I'm not. I'm way more prepared. Um, what happens when you allow yourself to be seen? That line, Kels. That is a beautiful line. What happens when you allow yourself to be seen? That's beautiful. Um, ah, know how to read a room and know when's a good time to exit. As uh, a former, I guess, I don't know, like as a former like party person who would party to the very end, it's good to know when to go home. It's very
Yeah,
important. Yeah, because when they say like, "Do you want another drink?" That's not an offer. They're feeling you out. They want you to go home because they want to go to bed.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I love that poem, man. It's filled with wisdom and kindness. And thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you for the space.
Yes. Jennifer said words of true wisdom from Origami Mommy. She gave you like a little heart.
That's me.
Yeah.
Still.
All right. Before we get out of here, could you give everyone your socials where they can find you, and if you have any upcoming events you'd like to share?
Ooh, okay. You can find me on Instagram at vagabond. Oboe is not simply an Instagram handle, but a way of living my truth out loud, visible, present, and seen in all forms, being a presence in each and every moment, even when no one else is around. So vagabond oboist. There's a secondary Instagram that has it's origamimommy.life that has my things because it was taking over my actual life. Upcoming events, I get to play in a cemetery tomorrow. In where is it? No, I don't know. Dunk's Barbecue. Dunk's Barbecue out west of Atlanta, outside the perimeter. I'm playing a Haley's Grave, this gypsy jazz rock band. It's like circus and delightful and super fun.
Mhm.
And I'm playing with them tomorrow graveyard, and then I'll be playing with them next Friday, a week from today, at the Green Room of Mableton. And they're super fun, and I'm really looking forward to playing with them again and getting to wear my regalia dress again. And then next Saturday, I'm going to be at a Halloween spooktacular event in Dallas, Georgia at the Raccoon Creek Music Park. It's the Grateful Bread Foundation's event, and they believe everyone deserves a slice of kindness. So I'm going to vend as Origami Mommy and Apprentice, do vendor trading with the tiny origami things, and I'll be doing a set of solo oboe and spoken word. Because what I do is I intersperse classical pieces that are written for solo oboe and do my spoken word pieces in between. And it has been very fun to share in that way. And I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and congratulations! You have a lot of things set up. That sounds freaking awesome. I just want to go over this right
Yeah.
here. You said cemetery. Did you mean like where dead
So
people go night night forever? Is that what you meant? Okay, I just wanted to double check. I
yeah,
just wanted to double check.
it's it truly is.
It's really cool. Do you ever film these things? Like, is anyone ever? Is that the point to like not film them, or is it? I don't know.
That's a question because like a lot of what I do doesn't get recorded. A lot of what I've done hasn't. I did a performance for Get Off the Grid Fest in Chattanooga back in August, and I had someone who was going to come record it for me, but he wound up not being able to make it, and then my stage got flooded out like an hour before the set. There was just water flowing around the stage, and I wound up recording it on my phone, but my phone does this thing where it chops up videos that are too long in a 25-minute segment. So it's really hard to catch what I do on film or on like audio or video. But I've got someone in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, who I need to reach out to and see about using his studio to record so like a set that I do, because he had actually done a live stream for me back in December before I went to the island, and um, someone that worked for him was clearing out all of these videos, and like my it hadn't had any views in a few months, so they removed the video. So that recording is gone, which was heartbreaking to me because it was a really important night to me. But like I totally understood. He's got a lot going on and he needed space. So totally understood. And after I was like, he was like, just you need to just come and record, like actually record something with me. I was like, oh, okay. I'll do that eventually. So getting there.
I can't wait to see. Well, I've seen you like perform before, but if you haven't, you're missing out. You just are. You just are. People need to see you. Um, yeah. Yeah. All right, folks. That is it for the Uncorked Poetry Podcast. Thank you again, Kelsey, Origami Mommy, for sharing your wisdom and your talents and your music and your energy with us here tonight. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you for doing the thing and showing the world all these interesting folks.
Very
Appreciate you.
interesting, folks. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, folks, that is it for us this week. Have a wonderful week. Remember, hurt people, so keep an eye on your pain. Stay safe, Godspeed, and we'll see you next week. You guys have a great weekend. Good night.